Hello, I'm Bob Harris. Welcome to Durham's educational series for industrial and decorative concrete flooring systems. On our gypsum panel, we've primed twice with CP1000. We applied our first application of Skraffino regular gray, and that's where we're at right now. Roughly 2 hours has transpired, and we're getting ready for our second application of Skraffino fine. A couple of observations. We put it down pretty smooth with the magic trowel, so at this point, we're making the decision for the purpose of this video, we're not going to sand it. But let's say, for example, you did have some trowel ridges, perhaps you had some little bumps or humps that you weren't satisfied with. You would want to use a 100 grit or a 120 screen, sanding screen. It's attached to the bottom of a red pad. Put it on the floor and, of course, put the buffing machine on it and sand the floor. It doesn't require a lot of aggressive sanding, so this whole panel might literally take about 1 minute, if that. So it's just a once over quickly to knock any of the imperfections off. And then we would clean it, vacuum it up, possibly damp mop the residual powder, and then we would apply another coat of CP1000, and that would have to dry prior to the application. The only other time that we would apply another coat of CP1000 is if we exceeded 4 hours dry time, which we're at 2 hours right now, we would go ahead and put on a nice tight coat of CP1000. But here we're not necessary. We've got a smooth surface. We're at 2 hours, so we're going to get ready to mix our Skraffino fine. We're going to be tinting it with whale gray, so I will put the CP1000 into the bucket, 4.6 liters. Now the Color Fast whale gray goes into the CP1000. I'll mix this for 2 minutes, and then from here it's the same mixing requirements. We've mixed our Skraffino fine. It was a white base this time, and again, just to recap, we mixed Color Fast whale gray into the mix, which is a very attractive gray color. Like we talked about with the regular, I'm not going to dump a whole big pile because it goes so far. So I'm just going to dump a ribbon about like that, and then just dump as you need. I don't want to carry a whole bucket back of material on a panel because it goes down very thin. On our gypsum panel, our goal is to create a concrete looking like floor. So to recap, what we've done is we first started off by applying CP1000 as a primer. We gave that 10 hours, or the next day we came back and applied a second coat of CP1000. Once that was dry, roughly about an hour, we applied Skraffino regular gray. And 2 hours later, we came back and we applied Skraffino fine with Color Fast in the mix, a color called whale gray, and dried overnight. And now what we're going to do is get ready or get prepared for our last application of Skraffino superfine. So the fact that we're putting a superfine material down, that means it's really ultra thin. So we're going to go ahead and sand the surface with a 100 grit sanding screen, just to get rid of any trowel marks, which there's not a lot on this panel here. But just to open it up, and then we'll get the residual dust off, and we'll apply our last and final coat of CP1000, followed by Skraffino Superfine. Our Skraffino fine has been sanded. Everything looks great. We did run the vacuum over it to get a residual dust off. Now it's time to apply our coat of CP1000. Now, on a larger job, it would be fine to go ahead and put it in a pump-up sprayer and just fog on a coat. We're not going for a real super heavy coat at this point, but it's a small panel, so we're just going to roll it out there. And if you did spray it on a fog coat, you would want to follow up with somebody back rolling. So we'll give this roughly, in these conditions, probably a good hour to an hour and a half to dry. And when it's no longer tacky, we'll put on our third and final coat of Skraffino Superfine. All right, on our gypsum panel, we're down to one of the last steps. Now we have mixed up Skraffino Superfine. We've done it in a white base, and we've used the ColorFast Color chamois in there, and so we're going to go ahead and pour it on. Now, just to give you a little bit of variance, say for example you wanted a marbleized surface, I'm just, for the purpose of this video, going to demonstrate some different coloring techniques. So I'm going to pour a ribbon of the Superfine, and then I'm going to take the Fresco ColorFast color and broadcast it into the ribbon and then hand trowel that to show you. And you can get a kind of a unique marbleized effect simply by broadcasting the color right into the wet mix. This is just one scenario. We could have also put some down with a magic trowel and then lightly broadcast over the surface, and then with either spike shoes or knee boards, trowel that in. So there's just a variety of different ways you can kind of create these effects. Now earlier you saw me working with a magic trowel, okay? Here I'm going to demonstrate hand troweling. And you can see the effects that you get are very nice with regard to the color. So one of the things that I don't want to do is have a continuous trowel pattern like this. I always see beginners that start in a half arc or a half moon doing this kind of a banana stroke, and you don't want to do that. You want to always have organic overlapping trowel passes. Now if I choose to create another effect, which I really like as I'm troweling here, I can trowel tight and bring some of the background color through. So in other words, I can see some of the gray bleeding through by troweling much tighter, which is also a very nice look. You'll notice I always keep my trowel clean. And as you can see, this material really stretches a long way. Let's say, for example, I got a little bit too orange and I really wasn't satisfied with that color. You can literally just reach back in, add your original color to bring some other contrast color back into it. So it's a very versatile system. Or, to demonstrate the magic trowel, certainly is an option. Point being, there's endless possibilities working with the Skraffino system consisting of regular fine and superfine. Okay, we're on our Skraffino panel that we've installed over gypsum self-leveling underlayment. And to recap, we started with the Skraffino regular gray, and then we demonstrated the Skraffino white fine, and then we ended up putting down a coat of Skraffino white superfine in which we used color fast pigments and tinted it. And then we also broadcast color fast pigments and produced this kind of a salmon color. Now the funny thing is, some of the most unlikely color combinations actually produce the most stunning floors. So this color by itself, it's not, to me, it's not the most attractive floor. However, when we go over it with the deso dye, it's going to produce a beautiful floor. So you wouldn't think that some of the background colors will produce the colors that they do. We're going to be applying deso dye. Deso dye is concentrated in this container right here. This will condition either 1 gallon of acetone and or 1 gallon of water. So you would mix the full contents into a gallon of water or acetone. For the demonstration purposes of our panel, I just wanted to go with what we call a lighter tint, okay? So I didn't want full intensity of color. So we probably used the equivalent of about a half of this jug to 1 gallon of water, and we're going to spray it on. So obviously, safety is an issue. You should always be wearing a respirator, especially if you go into an acetone solution. You want to just protect yourself, make sure there's no ignition sources, things of that nature. For this application, the water-based solution is the easiest method. We're simply going to spray it on, take a clean microfiber pad, and just massage it in with a microfiber pad, and that's the extent of the application. It's fairly easy and quick. So we'll demonstrate that right now. Now you always want to keep your surface clean. You can see I always want to cover the tip. I don't want to have unwanted drips, or we'll use a bucket, and I'll always walk across the floor with the tip in a bucket. So for this purpose, we're going to go ahead and continue spraying right now. Keeping the tip roughly 18 inches above the surface. I'm spraying in a circular fashion, as you can see. And already, might be hard for you, the viewer, to see, but I'm right over the top of it. The color is going to be quite stunning using this burleywood deso dye. Now in a large job, you would want somebody actually working with you simultaneously. They'd be massaging it in right now with a microfiber pad, but since this is a relatively small panel, I'll just go ahead and get it all sprayed down and then work it in with the microfiber pad. Okay, that's literally how easy it is to apply this deso dye in a water-based solution. You're simply spraying it on the surface and just massaging it around with a microfiber pad. It is a good idea to precondition your microfiber pad, pre-wet it first. It glides across the surface much easier and smoother, as you can see here. What we've done is we've shifted the color, just that simple. We've got rid of the salmon or the orange color, and it's a beautiful burley wood brown. It's going to look dynamite with the sealers over the top. Okay, we've applied our deso dye. Burley wood is the color. And for example, if you have a client that says, well, it's just not intense enough in color. So you can literally come back this quick, this easy with a contrasting color. Rosy brown here, and we'll just spray it on. And we're going to intensify the color. Go right back over it with the microfiber pad. And this quick, we can add an additional accent color while at the same time darkening the panel up.